All right, Will Abels on the podcast. You are our first comedian. I'm very excited.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're kind of a podcast veteran.
I haven't been on one in a while, but
Okay.
mine has been running. I just started mine in January, and I've been a little lazy about it lately. I've been like doing it like, well, it's like it's a story. It's one long story.
Oh, cool.
And my friend he's in town right now. He works in the podcasting world, and I was talking to him in New York a couple weekends ago, and I was like, "Is it okay that I'm kind of like doing it every other week now instead of every week?" And he was like, "Yeah, you're basically doing like a live journal." And I'm in a heavier part of the story, and I'm like, it does take a lot out of me to talk about it, you know?
And it's just you solo?
It's just me, yeah. And
That's hard.
Yeah, it is tough, and it's coming up on, it's what's easy about it is that it's just me telling a story, and I usually like get to about a half hour and go, I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good here. And then I'm trying to figure out what to do next, and like, because I need to have a podcast, but the actual time to do it is a lot, as you know. Yeah. And so I'm thinking what I want to do next is my brother's 12 years younger than me, and he's a Kevin. And so I want to do a podcast with him, and because just like we didn't live in the same household growing up, like we have the same parents and everything.
Okay.
But I left for college when I was 18. He was 6.
Oh, yeah.
And so the first time we actually lived together was during COVID, because I came home. So we were like, that's the first time we got to know each other as adults and stuff. And now we're very close. But it's just so funny. So I think that might be what I do next as a podcast, because it's easy, it's fun. I don't know if there's a point to it. It's just me talking to a 25-year-old and being like, "So what do you think? What do you think about the state of the world right now?"
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, "Oh no." Yeah.
We've been lazy this year too. We really hit it hard in 2025. I think we did 10 episodes.
That's great.
And this is our 5th season right now.
Oh wow. Oh, I didn't realize it was that old.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations.
It's been around for a while. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's just kind of been me and Phil making it for the joy of doing it,
Yeah,
and for
yeah.
an excuse to hang out together.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You got to make an excuse. That's what I do with a lot of my my road bookings. Like if there's a city that I'm like, oh, I just need to see this group of friends.
Yeah.
Like literally, I just did that with Boston, where it's alumni weekend for Emerson as well as my fraternity in October. I've been meaning to do Boston for like honestly like 5 years at this point. Cool. I couldn't book it last year. I had a hard time booking it this most recent run, and then I was like, it's alumni weekend. I haven't seen these guys in so long, and then I finally got to. I'm excited because I'm headlining the Comedy Studio for the first time, and that's where I basically started comedy. But it really was I was booking it just to see friends.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you started comedy in Boston.
I did, yeah.
Man, that's trial by fire.
It was, well, so I got a little lucky because up top, Emerson has a long history of stand-up, and there was like, I don't want to say a club, but it was, for lack of a better word, it was a club that did shows about once or twice a month in the school.
Yeah.
So we were just performing for other students, and when you're like immediately like doing stand-up and doing well in front of all your peers, you're like, well, I'm the greatest comedian of all time.
Obviously.
Yeah. And then when I got out of college, that summer I stayed in Boston, and Blake Wexler took me around because he was already like kind of, even though we went to college at the same time, he was already a guy. Like he started in Philly when he was like 14.
In Philly.
His mom was like driving him to open mics and stuff.
Yeah.
But when he got into college, he was like the veteran, which is, he and I joke about it now, and I'm like, how many careers do you think you ruined by giving advice to people as a 19-year-old? Right?
Yeah.
But he took me out into Boston, and then when I started getting out into the scene, I was like, oh. And so, yeah, I'm really thankful I started in Boston because they're an honest crowd, if anything.
Yeah.
And it was cool because back then the scene was a lot stronger than it is now, from what I've been told. And there was just people around, and you would do the Comedy Studio, and like my audition for the Comedy Studio to see if I could work there, I was put between Pete Holmes and Colin Yost.
Jesus Christ.
I knew who Pete Holmes was at the time. I didn't know who Colin Yost was, and this was before he was the head writer, but still, he was already writing at SNL.
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, Rory Scovel, I think, was the final comic of that show. So it was
good grief.
Yeah, and it was just a banging lineup.
Yeah.
There was time, and like Gary Goldman was there a bunch. Like it was just Joe List. He and I used to perform together all the time. I didn't know Joe as he is now.
Yeah.
So like it was just a different Joe, but yeah, it was just a really fun time to be there because I'm like starting comedy, not realizing that I'm performing with essentially comedy legends in the making.
Truly.
So yeah, Boston made me tough, and then New York just absolutely destroyed me. Like
Man.
right after that, yeah.
It's funny, like, I don't know who knows this and who doesn't, but like, music is my job. Stand-up is my number one love in this world.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. And I did stand-up for 6 years when I lived in New York.
Oh, did you really?
I did.
Have we ever talked about this?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't like to tell comedians.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I just look at you differently from now on.
Yo,
I'm like,
dude.
oh, that's why he won't
That's why he won't stop
me.
bugging me about bits, trying to make jokes.
That's funny.
New York
Man, 6 years is a long time.
Yeah. New York was very good to me in terms of that. And then I had my first gig among people. I don't remember who I was with at that point, but it was like every intro was like, you know him as a regular on Conan. You know this guy from The Daily Show.
Yeah.
And they were very kind to me. They put me right in the middle, in the absolute nicest slot.
Yep.
Ate shit. It was the hardest I've ever bombed
Yeah.
in my entire life. And that brought me to the crossroads where it was like, do I want stand-up to become a job? Am I willing to let this become
to let
work?
this destroy my life?
Yeah, exactly. Because, to the degree that music has become work, I still love it. I still have a great time playing music, but that's my job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ultimately decided, probably mostly out of fear, that we're going to put a pin in this comedy thing.
Yeah. See, I think if I had known who Colin Yost was, it would have affected my set a little bit. Because, like, when I got to that audition, luckily I was 21 and just so brash and just overly confident and just was like, I really am God's gift to stand-up comedy.
Obviously the funniest man alive.
Yeah. And he was wearing a suit, and I remember seeing this guy and being like, who the fuck wears a suit
douchebag
to the studio? Like, what is wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
And then I do my set, crush. I really had a great set, and I get off, and this guy in the suit was like, "That was a great set, man." And I was like, and I kind of brushed him off. Like, I kind of was like, "Yeah, whatever, suit guy." And then I hear like, "You know him as a writer on SNL, and blah blah. This is Colin Yost." And I was like, "Motherfucker." And then I don't remember if I stuck around for the show or not, because I don't think I understood networking at that time. I think I was like, and I'm done, and it's time to go see if there's anyone that wants to talk to me, like that's not a comic.
Yeah.
And then
musicians are really bad about that too.
just leaving.
Just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get here right before my set starts, and I'm gonna leave right afterwards. It's like,
I'm getting. I know. I'm better and worse about it. When I was drinking, that's when I was, also because I was just like, I just need to keep drinking. So that was more of just kind of like, all right, like how much more am I going to drink at this spot before I get antsy? I want to go drink at another spot. So that did dictate a lot of that for a while. Now I do hang out a lot more at places, and I'll like watch certain sets, but there are certain times that I'm like if it's like a really rough show, but the thing is like bad comedy is very different from music in that like I think you can probably enjoy bad.
No, I think bad music as a musician is just as hard as bad comedy as a comedian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because comedy, there's a point where I just kind of have to be like, I gotta go.
Yeah, I can't watch.
I can't watch this. Yeah. But like I had a rougher show in New York like 2 weeks ago, but the takeaway was the networking. Like I made like 3 new friends, and like we're talking now. Like I'm going out to LA. One of them's helping me get shows. Like. So I do understand it a little bit differently, and also I've been doing this long enough that like certain shows don't matter the way they do. Not that they're not important, but just because it is the job. Kind of what you're saying is like, I was doing New York Comedy Club, and like a couple years ago, I was like so excited. I'm like, oh my god, this is like a huge deal. And then this time around when I went, I was like, no, this is the job, and it was a fun show, but it was not like so. It was it was maybe half packed, a third packed. Like it wasn't super full, but all the comics we were all kind of like going through the motions. The mic gave out on one of them. It was just one of those things, but we all got to know each other better by sitting in the green room and just chatting it up, and that was more important than actually doing the show.
Which is a funny reality that I think musicians are more exposed to. Because anytime you go on tour and you're not some famous band, you're gonna end up playing to the staff a lot of the time. You're gonna end up playing to the walls, playing to the other bands, playing to the bar staff. And there's part of you that has to learn to be okay with that, because hopefully if you do a tour with 12 days, 15 days, even 3 or 4 dates, hopefully you're going to have 1 or 2 triumphant shows in there where it's like, oh my God, this is
But you might not.
Oh, those are the worst.
Yeah, those are rough. Those will grind you down for sure.
I don't know that that's ever happened to me. I don't know if I've ever been on a tour where every gig was bad.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a tour where every gig is bad, but I have, because I'm just getting in as like a regular headliner at the club level, like nationally. But I am, I only have like 13,000 followers on Instagram. Like,
I noticed that today.
Yeah, that just.
When I met you, you had like 2,000.
I did, and that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
I'll get to that. Yeah, I had a couple of spikes that you were like, "That's what does it." All right, great.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it's still not enough to like draw people. And so I'm still getting my name out. And what I'm basically doing is I'm essentially showcasing myself to the club bookers to be like, they're like, okay, well, he opened for this person or so-and-so vouched for him. Let's give him a chance. We'll see how it goes. So I have to kind of play the hits a lot, which I don't love doing, but I can kind of play the hits so I can do what I want to do the next time.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, I'm still like struggling to sell tickets. And I'm very happy to hear that most comics right now are struggling to sell tickets. And
everything is.
Everyone's just struggling. And it makes sense because no one has any goddamn money.
Everybody's fucking broke.
But like,
except for, champion Elon. He's doing pretty good.
Oh, he's doing awesome.
Yeah,
he's doing great.
Must be nice.
But yeah, so it's like, it's interesting because I'm because I've done so many bar shows in my life and headlined so many bar shows. If there's like 12 people, I'm like, we got a show, baby.
Yeah.
And it's
and it's
one of the more frustrating things about Nashville is that the bar show like scene is kind of gone. And so everyone's either doing a sold out Zanies or nothing, and you have to have those in between so that when you go to do your own headlining show and there's 12 people there, you don't have a full meltdown and the club's like, well, we're never going to work with him again.
Yeah.
And now this whole comedy scene, now the whole Boston scene hates this guy because he threw a temper tantrum, So there's just little things that you don't realize you're learning and they become tools. But I'm getting very used to the, hey, we got 6 people. Is that okay? Like I was in Rapid City and the first show, it was graduation weekend. Rapid City's obviously very small anyway. It's a newer club. I was just thankful for the opportunity, but he was like, hey, there's like 6 people. And I was like, all right, let's do it.
Whatever.
Those 6 people genuinely made it feel like there was 7 people. No, like they were so good though that it wasn't like, there's times where, you're doing 45 minutes and you're like, 45 minutes, no energy for 6 people is like, it really takes a lot out of you, right?
Yeah.
But these 6 people, I didn't go out of that being like, oh, I feel like I don't feel well. Like I had so much fun with them, and then the next night was like half sold, and and they were just as great. But there was a moment where I was kind of like, I had a little more fun with the 6 people.
Yeah.
But the next show was just as good. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, and the club was like, thank you for just doing the job. Like, thank you for like being professional.
Not being a prima donna, just getting out there and doing the thing.
Yeah, and and I walked into it, and instead of being like, and I wouldn't lie, like 2 years ago, that would have been something that I'm like, God, I can't believe this. I would have done the job, but it would have really affected me. Yeah. And I was like, I got a free hotel and they're covering my flights to Rapid City.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing to complain about.
Totally.
And they paid very well. Like,
very good.
It's just one of those things.
Man, I think that was my biggest mistake as a musician in my 20s, is just when the venue wasn't full, having an attitude about it. Like getting on stage and kind of thinking it made me cooler to kind of make jokes about it and stuff like that. And rather than like, there's so many, now that I've been in Nashville for almost 13 years, I've seen so many musicians deliver just everything they had to an empty room.
Oh, I mean, that's why I miss Jane's Hideaway so much. It's like there were times I get up there and, it's just me and the staff hanging out and guys would just go all in, and I was like, this is great. Like, I'm gonna remember this night, forever. And
and that's the thing, is you can't discount the value of performing to a few people who really are gonna take something. If you give it your all, they're gonna understand your art, they're gonna understand they're gonna take something away from it.
And it's a town, so this is more so what comedy is in New York, music is for Nashville, where you don't know who's in the audience. Like when I used to run a show in New York called Hey Guys, and I brought it here for a little bit, didn't quite work out. It's been a bunch of other things, but there was a show called Hey Guys, and I did it for a year, and it was just a showcase at the Pit Loft. And I would do like 2 comics or 3 comics and a headliner, and it was a lot of comics in New York, their first chance to do a half hour. And or just like, I'm about to go on the road, can I run a half hour? And we had some like Josh Johnson was actually our first comic that wasn't me to do his headline because he needed to practice for his Comedy Central half hour.
Amazing.
Yeah, and now he's the biggest comic on the planet at the moment.
Yeah.
But
he's freaking good too.
He's so and he's the nicest dude. He's the best.
Really?
Yeah, he was someone that like we're not as close as, I mean, I haven't talked to him in like two years at this point, but he's also a god, so it's hard to get a hold of God every once in a while. But like he was one of those people that like we weren't super close in New York, but when I'd run into him, it was always a nice catch up and just a good little like, how you been? And but anyway, so we had this show, and after the first year, I was like, I think my girlfriend at the time was like, oh, you should like, she's like, I always like when you have more females on the show because she's like, I feel like I go to a lot of your shows at, like the Stand and stuff, and there's not a lot of female comics on it. So I decided that like I had the show, I think it was every other week at that point, and so I would do one show as an all female showcase, and the other show was just anybody. The name Hey Guys was always misleading, like because it was just like, I always say like, oh, hey guys, hey
yeah,
guys.
Exactly.
But it was also a very New York thing where they're like, why isn't it just hey? And eventually it did become just hey, because I was like, all right, if that's what we're gonna focus on, sure, like fine.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing to adjust.
Yeah.
But anyway, this comic named Lucy Steiner was like, can I do a half hour on your show? My agent wants to see me do a half hour because he hasn't seen me in a while. And I was like, sure. So I booked her, Isabel Hagen, and Emmy Blotnick. And I honestly can't remember the other comic. Emmy was already kind of a person at that time. She'd done Comedy Central. She had to like host and then leave. And 5 people were in the audience. It was Lucy's agent, Lucy's agent's assistant, I think and 3 of my friends. Like no one was there. And it's a room that holds about 100 people. So you kind of feel 5, right?
Yeah.
But they all did their show. They all did their sets. I mean, Isabel Hagen specifically did great. And a couple years later, I started doing the road at that time. New York was sort of becoming like I was one of the spots where I was like, I'm here, but I'm not here, or whatever. And I ran into Isabel outside a club, and she was like, I've been meaning to thank you for 2 years, because she had just done Fallon. She had just done like late night.
Yeah.
And she was like, that show I did at Hey Guys, she was like, the agent signed me after that. And he got me Fallon, like, or maybe actually it might have been Colbert at the time, or the Late Show, or I can't, but a late night spot. And she got that directly from just doing her best on a show with 5 people there, and the agent signed her and got her this late night spot and whatever. And I was like, oh really? Because he told me to email him, and then he didn't email me back. But either way, I was like, I just loved that moment, because it was like, oh, it really is. It does still happen where you don't know who's in the audience, and why not just give it your all? And it can play out sometimes, And Isabel's, I don't know if you know her at all, is one of my favorite comics working right now. Like she's just so good at so many different things. She's an incredible musician as well. She went to Juilliard. She's a violist. Like,
I don't think I do know who this is.
Oh, check her out. She's so good. And she just did like her 3rd Fallon spot at this point. Amazing. But I do take a lot of pride of being like, oh, okay, we helped create this opportunity for someone that, went on to capitalize on it. Yeah, it was awesome.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how long 30 minutes is as a comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think the average person hears, 5-minute spot, and they're like, can you even say anything in 5 minutes? Like, what do you mean a 5-minute spot? Like,
I know.
And 5 minutes as a comedian, that's a lot of material.
Yeah. It can be, at least.
Yeah.
If you do it right,
if you're just starting off, 5 minutes is a lot of material.
Yeah.
Especially to keep them laughing.
Keep them engaged and doing all that.
And 30 minutes, 45 minutes, that's a friggin' lifetime. Yeah,
it's interesting, because I'm at a point now where when I hit 45, I'm kind of like, I don't really know how long I've been up here. Like, it could be an hour. I could have only been up here 20 minutes. 45 still doesn't quite feel natural for me, and that is just like, because I'm still working on new stuff, and that's more just like the structure of it. That has nothing to do with like the timing. But a half hour it is shocking, because you think you have a half hour and you don't.
No.
And when I was saying, when I was in New York, there were a lot of opportunities to get a half hour. I was doing my show, and then QED had a show where you could do back-to-back half hours. And because I was like one of the only guys in my group that was sort of doing the road and experimenting with more half hours, I would have comics that would get booked on QED, and they'd call me to be like, hey, can we go over my set? And I would help them learn the flow, because what you have to get used to with long sets is the audience needs to get their energy back. So like, your first 10 minutes, you want to just bang, 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 crush. You want to present your personality. You want to do all that stuff. And then they need a minute to breathe. So I call them like B jokes, where it's like, okay, this is a longer story, or it's something that like there are still a lot of like laughs in it, but they're spread out and they can kind of get their momentum going. And then you want to catch that wave going again towards the end and finish very strong. But the first time you do a half hour, you really like learn that like, oh, I only have, a lot of people I think have 20 minutes and they don't realize it, but a lot of people think they have a half hour and they don't. They have 20.
Yeah.
And it's just a very different.
And if you can't deliver that last 10 minutes and kill, it doesn't matter how good the first 20 minutes was.
And we're not talking a half hour and padding it with crowd work. Because that was when I was young, I was like, there's probably going to be this much crowd work in it. But I'm not even a crowd work comic, so even the fact that I thought that was insane, But yeah, it's tough to do, and I recommend to comics that like want to do that, just keep trying it, because what it also does is you add more to your jokes. Like you change a tag, you add a tag. You just start padding your jokes, and I have like certain jokes that I write them in a way that I can take things out. So like when I do a 5-minute set, I can do my story about my cat, and I can make that about a minute and a half. When I'm doing a headlining set, I can make that joke 2.5 to 3 minutes. And I just certain things I need to drop and all that. But then you have this kind of like Lego set of a joke where you can like, oh, I want to turn it into a castle, now I want to turn it back into a tower or whatever it is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so that's what's fun about it. Is like just you have the same joke but just different versions of it. And yeah.
Okay, let's talk about moving around the country, speaking to different audiences, because like ultimately that's why I crashed and burned as a comedian, because I was always playing to a familiar audience who had the same basic perspective as me.
Yeah.
Like just Lower East Side Manhattan. Just a bunch of weird artsy people or people that are there for the weekend and they're determined to have a good time. They're so on your side that you probably can't fail unless you truly piss them off.
Yeah.
And then the first time I had a big show in Queens, that's when it was just like, no, you're not funny. No, we don't appreciate this. No, we don't like this. Get the fuck off this.
It's such an eye-opener.
You know, but truly, to travel the country and, you know, speak to people in California, speak to people in friggin' West Virginia. Like, you're dealing with truly different types of people. Mm-hmm. What is that like through your comedy lens? How does your comedy work in terms of how do you make sure you can kill in New Mexico, but you can also kill in Michigan? Yeah,
I mean, like there are audiences that, because comedy's subjective, and like fortunately I don't run into them too often, but there are certain audiences that you run into and you just go, oh, these people don't laugh about anything. Honestly, Zanies' audience is sort of becoming that audience. Like they are getting.
Nashville is a very this. Town.
Oh my God, they're getting so tough, and it's like I'm like, oh, all right, what? But that's also its own podcast, you know. But I don't know. There's two things I always try and do, because when I was really young as a comic, I was told that, you know, when you first start, you want to make 100% you think you want to make 100% of the room laugh, and that's fine. But if you're still doing that a couple years in, that means you're just doing very basic, hacky, pandering jokes. What you really want to do is do the best you can, and then if say it's a room of like 30 people, and you notice that 4 of them are like doubled over everything you say, they're just like, this is the best thing ever. Those, like, focus on those 4 people, because hopefully those 4 become 8, and those 8 become 12, and then those 12 become 50, and then 100, and then next thing you know, you're doing a whole theater of people that are doubled over laughing because they're your audience. So that's something I'm still working on now, is just getting those people all in the same room to see my stuff. But the other part is, like, I want to be able to talk to all these different audiences, and, you know, everyone always says, like, oh, it's so divided right now, and blah, 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 and, like, yes, it is, that's obvious. But I'm also, like, well, I still want to make sure they know where I stand. You know, so I don't want to pander and be like, look, if you voted for this guy, I don't really care that you did. It's like, no, I actually do. I do care. You know, and I'm not saying I can't have a conversation with you, but I do care about that. And I don't know how I learned how to do this, and maybe it is just from doing it on the road, but I have a Charlie Kirk joke that can be pretty divisive. And I have yet to have anyone that has had a problem with it. Like when I was in Rapid City, I was talking about doing those 6 people. One guy was very like, I was like, this guy is not my audience. Laughed harder than anyone else in the show. And he actually came up to me afterwards and he was like, man, that Charlie Kirk joke was really good. He was like, you went right to the line, but you didn't cross it. And he was like, and I just really appreciate it. He's like, because, you know, you and I probably don't agree on a lot of stuff. He's like, but that was a really good, well-written joke.
It's amazing.
And I think that's the thing, is I think I take it right to the line and I don't quite cross it. Because I think some lines do need to be crossed, but I think with comedy, it's like, well, we're still trying to make a joke. You know, as long as the joke's there, as long as the joke is the core part of it. And, you know, and I'm saying that some people might take that and be like, oh, so then why can't I say the N-word on stage? And you're like, okay, Rogan, chill the fuck out.
Like, really. Well, Robert Klein said you can joke about anything, but it better be good. Right?
Better
you
be
can
good.
make a joke about anything, but it better be good, better be funny.
And there's also times where I kind of walk in the philosophy of like, look, you can say whatever you want. Like, some people are like, you can't say anything anymore. It's like, no, you can say whatever you want, but sometimes you just got to be okay getting punched in the face. Fortunately, I haven't been punched in the face yet, at least for comedy. But I mean, I just think it's one of those where I want people to be able to like all be in the same room at the same time. And like, again, I was in Pensacola and I did that Charlie Kirk joke, and this guy came up to me, I was standing next to my brother, he lives there, and this guy in a cowboy hat comes up to me and he was like, hey, I love Charlie Kirk. Like, I love him. But man, that joke was so good. He's like, we need more people like you. And I was like, I don't think you've seen the internet. There's a lot of people like me. But still, it was something, like a moment where I appreciated it, where I was like, all right, well, I'm doing something right where they know where I stand when I get off stage, but they don't walk away and go, God, that guy just was abusing us the whole time.
He was
preaching,
that,
right.
Yeah.
And that's why I actually do like performing in places like Texas and Florida and Alabama and Rapid City's. It's kind of its own, like it's a relatively liberal town, but it's South Dakota. Things like that where like there's parts of Idaho. Just places you go that like they're progressive cities, but there's like a spectrum for progression in terms of like,
sure.
I mean, Nashville's a good example of like we're in a very, very red states and it's a gerrymandered city. So it's like things like that where it's like, yeah, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But I like walking away from all those rooms because I've noticed that if you can get people to laugh at themselves as opposed to laughing at them.
Oh, 100%.
And when I was in New York, that was what I was sort of losing interest in with a lot of comedy it was a lot of laughing at them and not laughing at themselves even. Where it's there's a lot of things that liberals do that you're like, you got to make fun of this, and making fun of myself as well, And now New York's a little different. When I go there, it's because comedy's gotten so big, so now it's it's more just about money. It feels like, but there's still rooms where, someone just goes, hey, Tucker Carlson sucks, and everyone applauds, and I'm like, okay, but where's the joke?
Yeah.
We all know he sucks, but give me a good joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit of that, and that's what I don't love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way about some of the crowd work stuff, where it's guys, like, okay, but you're not Don Rickles. Don Rickles was good at this. You're just.
And that's a very different type of crowd work because there's jokes there, and that's planned crowd work. Like, Judah Freelander's very good at planned crowd work.
Yeah.
Like, I had a run of shows in New York back in like probably 2015 or 16, where for some reason I just was with Judah Freelander like every show for like 2 months. Yeah. And I picked up on his little tricks and I don't want to spill them, but I don't think anyone listening is going to be like, well, you ruined Judah Freelander for me,
I can never watch 30 Rock again.
Yeah, but he would do these things where he would say, what's your favorite country? And he would go around and like people would be yelling, but he wouldn't stop until someone said the country that he had a joke for. And so somebody would say America, and he'd go, America is the greatest country in the United States. And that was the joke. And I would notice that I was like, oh, he waits until, but it looked very natural because of the way he moved and the way he did it and stuff. But the crowd work thing now is, I understand a lot of it's clip farming. And there's a part of that is practical because you don't want to burn all your material, and I do understand that. But there's also almost an epidemic of it in that a lot of people just don't have jokes, and they're not good joke writers, and they're not good storytellers, and they're not just good at comedy in general, but they're good at making an observation that will go viral because most people are very basic. And so when you see like, oh, y'all a couple? And then they're like, if we are, like, you guys don't look like you're a couple. And everyone's like, they don't.
Oh my
like,
God,
because he's so ugly
smart.
and she's so hot,
Yeah.
And then most people watching the internet are like, that's true. I believe that as well, And that's
I have friends like that.
Yeah. And it just makes that kind of comedy bad. I was actually talking to a friend a couple days ago, and he opened for me doing something down in Wilmington, and he did a lot of crowd work, and I don't like when my features do crowd works, but this was it was a don't tell, it was not a structured show. And there was no conversation of like, hey, he's your feature and you're the headliner. It was like, and we've known each other long enough, and where we're at in comedy, it was basically a co-headlining show, in my opinion, because like, don't tell doesn't put your name on it, so no one even knew who we both were.
Okay.
Yeah. But he did a lot of crowd work. He also had the mic go out, and he had to do crowd work and stuff. And crushed. And honestly, there was a point where I was like, I don't even want to do my set. I want to keep watching what he does because it was such a fun, natural, organic. And like he was doing crowd work where it was appropriate and that he had to address certain things. He was acknowledging that people were responding to it and, whatever.
Yeah.
And I messaged him and I was like, hey, like, just so you know, that was such a fun set. And he was like, oh, I appreciate that because I opened for somebody and they actually got mad at me for doing crowd work. And that particular comic that he was opening for, all they do is crowd work. And so and he said, he was like, but I had to because the audience was there for crowd work. And so they wouldn't stop yelling at me. So I couldn't do my jokes. And I was like, this is the problem.
It's the problem.
Like, and also like the headliner should know that like, that's what he's bringing, you know? And he should be like, hey, just a heads up, you're going to have to do some crowd work, but see if you can try and stick to the material. Not, hey, don't do crowd work, man. It's like, well, how about you get an audience that wants to hear jokes instead of just like,
if the internet is to believe that's all comedy is now is crowd work, Yeah, that's a tough position to be in. So you said you had a good Type 5 story, and I'm excited for that.
Oh, well, this is funny. Yeah, so it's all kind of tied together where I think this was the New Year's Eve show.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think this was the New Year's Eve show. So.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Well, so I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay.
So the year before, I did your
You
New
were in
Year.
a suit and tie on New
Well,
Year's Eve.
yeah,
as
but I did
recall.
the one this year too. Remember, because the one this year was on like the 30th or the 29th.
Oh, you're right. Okay, you're talking about New Year's Eve 2 years ago.
So no, I'm talking about this year, but it's
Okay.
related to the year before.
Okay,
So the year before was awesome. Like I was in a suit.
Yeah.
You know, crushed that set.
Yeah.
Margaret Price was there, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I crushed it for the Margaret Price. This is dope. You know, like that. Like, and I had such a good year after that I was like, I felt like that kind of kicked off that year, and there was I had a lot of personal growth that year.
Yeah.
My career that's going well now. That was like the kind of like, you know, we put the cake in the oven and waited. You know, that was sort of like we made the cake and we're about to put it in. That was last year for me, and so that was great. So I wanted to do it again this year, and just bombed so hard. Like there were a few people that really liked it, but there's also like there was more people there the year before.
Oh yeah, it was
because it was actually New Year's Eve. It was actually New Year's Eve.
It was friggin' packed to the gills.
Right, and so you know, one thing that kind of can be tough with that room is that people sit back because with music you can sit back and you can hear it fine. With music, it's like the energy's a little different when you want people closer, right? So I was playing in the back of the room, literally, and the people in the back of the room did like the set, but the people up close were kind of like, he's okay. Like I'm not really into this, you know?
I know. I hate that. I hate that about it's everybody who hangs out in music venues.
Yeah, they hang in the back.
Too cool to be at the front. We're too cool to be up there.
Yeah.
We don't want to show too much support. We don't want these people to think we like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they all hang at the back.
Yeah.
It drives me friggin' nuts.
Yeah, and there were a lot of smiles, but I wasn't getting laughs like I would like to, right?
Of course.
But it wasn't like the bomb was not as bad as it felt, and I knew that because I could see people responding to it. It was just one of those things.
Yeah.
And I didn't care either. Like I got off and I was like, I'm almost glad I bombed because that's how this year caps off. And it's funny that's my last set is like it's one of my worst sets I've had. You know.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, but I get off and one of the older guys you had on the show, I was sitting there with Gulvazin with Chris.
Yeah.
And,
I like Chris.
and he was like, he's laughing because he wanted to record it. And he was like, do you want me to give you that recording? And I was like, no. Like,
No,
what are you
you.
out of your mind? Like, no, I don't want that. But one of the older guys comes up and he was like, man, I thought I was bad, but that was rough. And then just like laughs at himself and walks away. He was like, I liked you though. And just like kept going. And like Chris looks at me, he's like, he didn't have to say that. Like that was just like, there was no reason for him to say that.
Oh,
and there were two other people that we didn't know. They were like, hey, we liked your set a lot. And I don't know why he said, like, I found it so funny because it was just like, you know, it's an older musician. He's probably been doing this his entire life. You know, he's seen every type of show you can have.
Yeah.
And he didn't mean it to be malicious. He was just kind of like, we've all been there. But just the way he said it after it was like just such salt in the woos. And it was hilarious.
Please tell me it wasn't the snipe catcher, because if it
No.
was him, he meant it with love.
No, it wasn't him. It was
man.
the band had gone like maybe just before me, and they were great. They were so good, but it was just it was one of the old. They were older. They were definitely like in their 60s probably, but.
Oh, okay. I think I know
they're
who
well
it is.
dressed.
Yeah, I know who it is.
Yeah, but it was so funny, and I was like, "Wow, that's the end of the year."
Yep, there's that.
On to 2026. Hopefully, nothing bad happens this year.
The 5 Spot is such a unique place in the way that there's so much love in that room, but criticism never quite comes softly in that room.
Yeah. Like, I always have really funny conversations after my sets because there's so many musicians in there, and. You know, if I do a joke about New York, I always have some guy who's like, "Oh, I lived in New York," and they're like, "I love that story because it reminded me of this and that and that."
Yeah.
And then like you know, if Emerson somehow gets brought up or Boston in general, there's always a couple Berkeley people there, you know, and like it's always I always like that. And it is very fun being in Nashville and being a comedian in a musician city, because I could never do music, like ever, and so I have so much respect for it.
Do you want to? Is there a part of you that wishes you were a musician? Because there's definitely part of every musician that wants to be a comedian. My
cousin's in a band called Abeles. They've done the 5 Spot actually.
Yeah, I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, and he's the front man, and like I love his energy. I love one. I'm jealous because there's a bunch of them, and when I'm on the road, it's just me.
Yep.
I do like that's something I've always like been like envious of. There's a part of me that I think would like to be a musician because it's a different type of attention. And just like the lifestyle seems so cool. I mean, now that I'm sober, I think maybe I'd be like, oh, like I don't know if I could do it. You know, I think it would be like tough for me to do. Like I think I would be like, well, if I'm gonna be a musician now, I am gonna start drinking again.
Yeah.
But no, there is something that I think I've always wanted to be a musician. But also I think because I can't I can't really sing. I never really could pick up an instrument. Like I never really got good at any of them.
Yep.
And so comedy was my first like. there's a couple other things I can do artistic. Like I'm a really good writer, and I was actually a decent director. Like when I dabble in that, but comedy was the first thing that I was like very good at it very quickly, and I was like, oh, I like this a lot. But there's a part of me I think that would love to be a musician.
Yeah. I mean, everybody on earth thinks they're funny.
Yeah.
I think
Oh yeah, my God.
Anybody with even a little bit of narcissism in there is like, I could do that.
I could do that. And the funny part, so I had a guy after one of my shows. This dude, great audience member. They owned the bar down the street. They invited me to the bar. They caught my meal. Couple like NA beers. Yeah, they were great.
Yeah.
And then his wife was like, oh, he really wants to do comedy. And he was friends with the owner of the club as well. So he was like, he really wants to do comedy. And he was like, yeah, I think I have like 45 minutes. And I was like, you don't. And he was like, I know I have 45 minutes. I just don't know if it's funny. And I was like, that's actually closer to being a realistic sentence,
Yeah.
And then he ran a joke by me, and it was a little crass and like one of those where I was like, oh, come on, man. Yeah. But he ran it by me, and then I didn't even do this to be mean. It just came out of me organically, and I went, yeah, but what's the punchline? Because there wasn't one. There was no point to the joke. It was like a funny premise, and that's what I was saying when I was like, you don't have 45 minutes. And then he like kind of took like he was like, and then he actually told me where he wanted it to end, and I was like, oh, if you get to that ending, that's actually really funny, but how do you get there?
Yeah.
And then he didn't really talk to me for a while, but then he came up to me before I left and was like, I kind of glad, like it kind of threw me off that you said that, but like you're right, there isn't a punchline to that, and like I need to like try this out. Like I need to learn how to do that. And I was like, yeah, go to your friend's open mic and try it out, you know?
Yeah.
But it was funny because he was a very funny guy, very friendly guy. But it was different when he actually ran a joke by me, and I was like, no, there's a difference. It's a structure, There's a point to this.
There is such a difference between being funny around your friends, making your friends laugh, and making an audience who doesn't know you, doesn't know your personality, isn't coming from your perspective, and you just think you can spill your thoughts and they're going to laugh. It's like, that's not how this works.
But unfortunately, because of Kill Tony, that is how it works now for a lot of comedy, and that it's like, it's just, you can be unfunny, you can be untalented, and you just, like, there's so many dudes that are 3 months in, 6 months in, and now they're nationally touring headliners because they were funny for 1 minute, and they made one guy who's not even funny himself laugh.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the...
Ooh, that's quite a stone to throw.
Oh, everyone knows he's not funny. He knows he's not funny.
Yeah.
That's why he's such an angry young man.
He's very tan, though.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. He's like slowly becoming the aliens from Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
It's really weird to watch.
He's getting tanner.
Yeah, like most people get hotter, and he's somehow getting less attractive. And it's like
he's getting more dried out.
Yeah. Well, he is starting to look more like his billionaire cohorts, where they just like still look like they're not from this earth because maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. But yeah, that's a frustrating thing still happening. But I try and focus on the comics that aren't a part of that. I mean, I've had friends do it, and there's plenty of people that do it. But I am trying to still focus on like people like Rory Scovel, who are just always going to be Rory Scovel. They're always going to be funny. They're always going to be their own unique person. Kyle Kinane, guys like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I try and focus on them because I know they will never sell out to that degree. Like everyone has to sell it a little bit.
For sure.
At some point, right?
Yeah.
Because you can have your lines forever, but at some point you're like, well, I'm trying to stay in my lane, but I'm realizing this lane's not even going anywhere anymore. But yeah, I try and just focus on the comics that I enjoy and want to support and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The Kill Tony thing is so much like the TikTok musicians thing.
Oh, it's like TikTok musicians. Exactly.
Noah Khan comes to town and plays the Bridgestone.
Yeah.
He had one song on TikTok.
Yeah. And that song was...
It's pretty good.
Yeah, but it was massive. I'll say it was massive.
Oh, yeah, it was massive.
It was like everywhere.
Massive.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good song.
Yeah.
Imagine being in that audience. You paid like $500, $300, whatever it is for these seats.
Yeah.
And dude takes the stage, and he's about to play probably hour, 90 minutes. And you realize...
Oh, he's got one song.
I don't know any of these songs.
Yeah.
So this whole time, I'm sitting here waiting for the encore to hear this one song that blew up because of TikTok.
Yeah.
And I feel bad saying it because I know one of the members of his band, and I mean, he's surrounded himself with great musicians.
Yeah, and I like his music. Like I think, and I don't know music as well as you do, obviously.
Yeah.
But I do listen to it. And I'm like, all right, I like
it's
it.
Fun,
yeah.
Right.
It's not like I'm like today is I need to listen to this album. You know what I mean? Like I don't have those days with him, but yeah.
But it's strange how these pathways have formed. Mm-hmm. Like Kill Tony to all of a sudden you're doing a theater.
Yeah.
Or TikTok to all of a sudden you're playing the Bridgestone. It's like every artist needs to get beaten down a little bit.
Oh yeah, because you got to learn stuff. You have to have experiences, and I know it's so. That's the other thing is, I'm glad that my career is finally starting to move the way I want it to, because now I have stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're in your 20s, you're just in your 20s. You're just learning that you're a person still. You know, that's the first time you're really getting out there and trying to figure out who you are and all that, and you're just trying to navigate whatever. But now I'm in my 30s, and I'm like, oh, I actually have I have opinions.
Yeah.
and a lot of them I have proof that this opinion's valid. It's just
I think one of the most important and it's so random, but one of the most important artist making moments in your life is when you have to perform sick.
Oh,
when you're
okay. I really haven't had to do that, I don't think.
I saw Colin Jost do it one time.
Yeah.
And it was brutal.
Yeah.
He was at Zany's in Nashville, and he was so obviously either had an awful stomach flu or food poisoning.
Yeah.
And he was so committed to doing it. He ended up laying on the stage.
So he was sick.
He was sick.
Jeez,
sick.
Okay, yeah.
He ended up fleeing the stage to puke, then coming back.
That's kind of insane.
It was baller. It was
this, how recently was this?
Probably 2018, 2019.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he's not really touring like that anymore.
Yeah.
That's commitment.
It was badass.
Yeah.
I've definitely been up there when I had just thrown up.
Yeah.
Or just been immediately after the set I have to puke.
Yeah.
But it's, part of being an artist is sacrificing yourself to that part of it that is a job, right?
Yeah,
and being
and the job part does it. You think you're so lucky for so long, but then at some point you do realize oh, this is a job.
Yeah.
And there are parts of it that every job suck. It sucks.
Yeah,
I don't
feel
PTO.
good right now, and I gotta get up there.
If I don't get there, I don't get paid, so I don't get this day off. Yeah. See, unfortunately I haven't really had that. I've had
You said unfortunately.
Huh?
You said unfortunately.
Well, as a moment to grow and to talk about on the podcast, unfortunately, but fortunately, I haven't had that moment.
Yeah.
But I just worked with Adam Caton Holland. He's out of Denver, but he's been around. He did Conan. He's been around for a minute. But he got food poisoning while we were doing these shows in Minneapolis. And honestly, his Saturday show is better than his Friday show. And I think it was just kind of he was so delirious to that point where he's just exhausted. And But his Saturday show, he was he did great on Friday. Don't get me wrong, but Saturday he was ripping it up, and I was like, oh, this is funny. This is a much better set than last night.
That's wild.
Yeah, I think there's kind of when I worked on Sound of Music. I worked on Sound of Music live. I don't know if you saw that when that came out in 2013. It was an NBC show. Carrie Underwood was Maria, and we did Sound of Music live.
Okay.
I'm surprised you didn't hear about this. But
I didn't know you back then.
Well, no, but it was a popular show.
Oh, gotcha.
It broke a lot of records. It won 4 Emmys.
Really?
Yes.
Good for you.
I'm an Emmy adjacent winning artist.
Good for you. As he pounds water.
Yeah. I didn't even actually hit my lips. No. But anyways, my whole point was that Carrie was the whole. If you look up anything about the show, it was that Carrie Underwood couldn't act. And one of my jobs in that show was to just work with her for the most. I was just kind of around all the time because I was on set doing the rehearsals, and the rehearsals were in one space, and the actual taping was out at Grumman, and then eventually we all came together. But I was with her from day one. It was an 8-week rehearsal, so I saw her on day one when she could not act to save her life. And then on the day of the show, when we went live, I was like, she is crushing this. But the internet and people at home didn't see all that. Yeah. Anyway, the best day of acting she actually had was she flew home, hosted the CMA Awards like she does, and then her and her managers got violently drunk, and then she had to fly back to New York and come on set that day. And she's around just a ton of Tony-winning actors and actresses. Yeah. Really good actors and actresses. Yeah. And they're very trained, and a lot of them have a bit of a chip on their shoulder that Carrie Underwood's playing Maria, And that day, I remember we were all hanging out after we wrapped for the day, and one of them was like, I'm not gonna lie, that was the best she's acted this entire time. Maybe she just needs to be violently hungover, and she can understand how to loosen up and just be in the moment. And they were because she just crushed it that day.
Wow.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of adversity can actually... can help.
Or just maybe just I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Just
I'm just trying to get back to my bed. Let's get this over with.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool. So you went to Emerson. Mm-hmm. What years were you in Boston?
So I was there 2007 to 11.
We just missed each other.
Yeah, when were you there?
I left Boston at the beginning of It was somewhere in either 2007 or the beginning of 2008.
Were you did you complete Berkeley or were you a Berkeley dropout?
Oh, dude, I completed. I got my piece of paper right in the room.
Wow, man, you're like a unicorn among unicorns.
I guess.
Yeah,
I don't get the thing of that. Like that.
I think it's John Mayer's fault. Everyone always quoted John Mayer. They were like, "Well, John Mayer, like like if you're good enough, you got to drop out." I was like, "Yeah, but he's John Mayer."
Let's clear this up right here and now. John Mayer attended Berkeley for a maximum of 2 semesters.
Right.
Some people say it was only 1 and he dropped out.
I heard one.
Yeah. Anybody can get into Berkeley for 1 semester.
Oh, so you have to like maintain to stay there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Emerson, they just get in. Like, I didn't even get to do the major that I applied to.
Well, it's not like they kick you out. Well, they will kick you out if your grades drop low enough.
Sure.
But
that's
entire time, they are weeding you out. The entire time.
Interesting.
It is a brutal life.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, John Mayer. I'm not that. Actually, he had nothing to do with this. These were other people telling me about him.
Oh,
but still, that was the moment of like, well, I think he's going to drop out because John Mayer dropped out, and if he's going to just go do it, he's got to go do it. And it's like, you're a 19-year-old.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick, and then we'll go back to you, the guest.
Sure.
So.
I like how that was phrased. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, enough about you. We're going to talk about me, and then we're going to go back to talking about you.
Yeah. So, in the 60s and 70s, Miles Davis was farming musicians out of Berkeley left and right.
Oh, okay.
So, becoming a Berkeley dropout kind of became this badge of honor because you were probably moving on to bigger, better, or not even bigger, better things, but you were being a real musician rather than a student.
And you're being told by Miles Davis that you should do that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a pretty good vouch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If Miles says, "Hey, come play in my friggin' band," you shouldn't be like, "Well, I'm really focused on my studies right now."
I didn't pass algebra, so
yeah. And also, for a long time, going to Berkeley was, for a lot of people, the opportunity to get noticed and farmed out of Berkeley for whatever Legends band.
Yeah.
Right? In the probably late 80s, early 90s, it stopped being that.
Okay.
Because mostly probably because the entertainment industry largely moved to LA rather than New York.
Yeah.
And because
colleges got exponentially more expensive.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and especially because jazz really fell off the map.
Yeah, because that's what it was kind of known for, right? Wasn't that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100% known for jazz musicians. Lots of great pop and rock and whoever went there as well. But Britney Spears doesn't need the best jazz guitar player of his era to play in her band, right?
Right.
So as the biggest stars of their time didn't really need this level of skill.
Yeah.
Berkeley became less about like, oh, well, if you go to this school, before you know it, bam,
you're gonna be plucked.
Oh my God, you're gonna have the greatest career ever. And people, they had this thing called the open door policy, which I don't know. It must have started in the 90s. This is the least interesting part of this podcast. It must have started in the 90s. They had this thing called the open door policy, which was a profiteering idea by the school. Was started by the guy named.
Wasn't it Lee Burke?
Lee Burke, I believe.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe his son was Lee Burke and he was Les Burke. I don't know. Whatever it was.
I think it was Lee Burke since the Berkeley.
I think he named it after. I think Lee Burke was his son. I think he named the school after his son.
That's just so sweet.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Yeah, I will never name anything after my son. I won't even name my son after me.
Name it after me, the Chris Frasco Comedy Institute. I would love that.
That's gonna be my son's name. He's like, I fucking hate you, Dad.
How can you say that?
But in that way, I am creating a comic probably much better than me by him. Like he started me out like it's a Boy Named Sue situation.
Very good. Yeah. And anyway, they were accepting people with less formal skills that they thought had high propensity to become great artists.
Okay.
Right? But it was also a total profiteering thing.
Yeah.
That we're going to charge you for a year's worth of college, and you're going to instantly drop out, and then we're going to get somebody else in.
Yeah.
We're gonna flip these fucking seats over. We're going to make more money than we ever have. And it led to some great things. It led to some bad things.
Sure.
John Mayer should have never,
Should never become John Mayer?
No, he should have become John Mayer.
Wouldn't that just be like the clip? That's the clip. Like, you and I decided that John Mayer is just dog shit.
How are we going back in time? How are we going back in time and preventing this?
Yeah.
All the things we could prevent, let's prevent John Mayer.
Yeah, John Mayer is the Timmy No Breaks of music.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit.
And he was for so long. He's become such an incredible musician. But, like, he had no business being there. And to be honest...
He could have done it without even going, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, he could have written crappy songs.
Yeah.
Like that first couple albums.
Hey, listen, Your Body is a Wonderland.
My Body is a Wonderland.
Is the greatest song written in America, in American history.
And I remember having to hear that from lots of 18-year-old girls when I was 18.
Yeah.
And being like, oh. But absolutely, he could have still done everything he did without Berkeley.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't have come across that lick that became the Neon, that song.
Yeah.
Because that's directly from a Berkeley professor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's like a certain
it's a certain stylistic
very certain
thing
he would taught.
Yes.
See, that's sort of what Emerson was for me. Where like now I could confidently be like, oh, I didn't actually have to go to Emerson to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't gone to Emerson, there are so many things I wouldn't have learned. Like, I know how to produce a show. I know how to do it. Like, Emerson's funny because I came out of Emerson and I knew how to fully produce a live television, like a studio television show.
Cool.
But I didn't know how to be a PA. So I had to like learn how to be a PA while PAing. So they'd be like, go get me a coffee. And I'm like, sorry, someone else is supposed to be getting us coffee,
Yeah.
But that was a big thing, was just like, I really understand how TV works and all that kind of stuff. But also the networking side of it was like, all of my jobs right out of Emerson were from Emerson. Like, and then in comedy, a lot of my connections came through Emerson. And so what really like my experience there was like, yes, I did learn, TV and screenwriting and that kind of stuff. And I started comedy there. So like, but I think I would have eventually done comedy anyway, but I have a leg up because I went to Emerson because I learned so many other things and had such a huge network. Like, I'm debating moving at the end of the year and I'm still trying to figure out where to go and what to do and what that looks like. Mm-hmm. And I've never wanted to be a comedian in LA, but the benefit of LA for me is that all of my friends that are currently on their like 5th and 6th Oscar and Emmy and that kind of shit, not Oscar, no one wins 6 Oscars, but you know what I mean? Like, they're all starting to win awards. They're all there. And I'm like, well, that's a huge, support system to have.
Yep.
And again, that's all Emerson, And so that's sort of what I got from that, was just like, and I had a very sick, like when I was there, a lot of people between 2007 and 2011 are doing very, very, very well. And some of them are kind of game changers, which it's really cool to be like, I remember this guy doing shots with him in Alston. This is awesome, And so I had a really cool class at that time. And,
Berkeley was very similar to that too. Yeah. You watch these people go on to do great things.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's like usually, and I'm happy that it's usually people that I was rooting for then and get to root for them even more now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of comics like that. I'm really happy that that Kevin Hart Netflix show happened because it was full of almost exclusively comedians that I've been rooting for. Some are friends, some I've known for 15 years, and I was really happy to see them finally getting, like, some of them have done late night and they're nationally touring headliners and stuff, but you can be a national touring headliner and like someone says your name and you're like, I have no idea who that is. Like,
absolutely,
99% of the people that like know comedy, they have no idea who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was cool to see some of that. Like Caitlin Palufo specifically was who I was thinking of. Was like, Caitlin's been so good for so long. She's been so funny. She's so nice. And I remember we were sitting in the green room in Dallas in December because I was like, hey, I've been wanting to do this club. Can I come down and feature for you? She's like, sure. We're sitting there. I was like, what do you got coming up? And she's like, I'm doing this like Kevin Hart competition show. And I was like, what's it on? She's like, Netflix. I was like, sounds good to me. I mean, and she was like, yeah, I don't really know what it is. I was like, because we all know, I mean, music's probably the same, but like competition shows are bullshit. They suck.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think Kevin Hart actually said that on the show. So like he even acknowledged, like, we all know competitions suck,
Yeah.
But like seeing her and Winston and all these people like just showcased was awesome, know?
Yeah.
And again, like people that I was rooting for and happy to see. And it's nice to see that. And like, there's a lot of people I have from Emerson that are doing great and I'm happy for them. Yeah.
One of the cool things about these really prestigious arts colleges is that, especially as a young artist just getting out of college, is you end up with a couch to sleep on in every major city.
Every city. Yeah. And that's one reason I was able to do the road early on, was like,
same.
I still don't have to worry about housing for most of the cities I go to.
Yeah.
And if I am like putting myself up, it's because I just need a night off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
need
like
a night not on somebody's couch, not on somebody's floor on an air mattress. Yeah.
And like I was saying, I mean, sometimes my booking is like, oh, when was the last time I saw? Like I just was in Portland, Maine, and I wanted to do Boston and then Portland. That run made sense. I couldn't get Boston lined up, and so it kind of didn't make sense to even go to Portland. But I was like, well, I haven't seen Ovid in like a year, so like, I might as well go up there and
And Portland's such an underrated city.
Oh, it's a great city. It's
a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's awesome. But that's a thing. Is like I go there, I stay with him, and there's these things too where I'm like, even if I keep moving up the ladder, like my career stops right now, and this is as far as I go. It'd be a grind, but I'd be content with it for a little while. But presumably, the way things are moving right now. I think the door deals are going to get better. The hotels are going to start coming. That kind of stuff. Even when
you're going to continue to get better.
Yes, I hope so. Unless something drastic happens. But even if those happen, I'm still going to probably stay with Ovid when I do the club in Portland.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like there's just things like that where I'm like, no, this is like I feel
it's joyful.
Yeah, and I'll still stay with the Canes when I do like Philly. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's what I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's such a big part of the advantage of traveling. Is getting to catch up with people, making people that started out being your friends as being like, oh, wow, I really liked your show, making those people into really good friends. And then, that's...
And just keeping in touch. And, like, it's fun having, and this is kind of a pivot from what we're talking about, but, there's...
You don't want to talk more about Berkeley?
We played tennis with Berkeley, so I knew a lot of Berkeley guys because we had played tennis together. Emerson Berkeley and Mass Art, and we went to the finals all 3 years I played tennis, and we lost to Suffolk all 3 years.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's definitely a matter of money. They definitely had private tennis tutors.
They were very good, but we were also very good. We just couldn't get it over the line. But anyway, what I was kind of pivoting towards was like the constant imposter syndrome of like. Like I said, I'm like, things are moving for me right now, and I'm still like, I don't feel like I'm a comic, But having these people in your life for so long, from like the beginning of your career till now, they see it very differently than you do because we're in the day-to-day, right? When you're in the day-to-day, you're kind of like, today I didn't send out these 3 emails I need to send out, and I'm like, oh my God, because jeopardize my career. It won't. They'll be fine. I'll do them tomorrow.
Yeah.
But, I'm frustrated that I didn't get these other responses back to help line up this show here and do that kind of thing. And that's my day-to-day. But then when you have someone on the outside looking in, I had a friend from Hagerstown where I'm from. He was like, messaged me kind of randomly and was like, dude, it's been so cool watching your career because I am seeing this upward trajectory. And it's, and I know it probably feels like a grind, but like you have done so much in the last, just focus on the last 5 years alone.
Yeah.
And when you can take yourself outside of it and see that perspective, where it's like they don't see the struggles each day, they don't see the bad days you have, the breakups, maybe they see it if you talk about it or sing about it or whatever, but like they're not really seeing you like blackout drunk at the bar crying on your friend's shoulder, unless you're that friend that you're crying on their shoulder. But that was like a very nice perspective change for me of seeing it from their point of view, where I'm like, okay, let's write out all the things we've done between last year and now, and see if that curve is still going upwards. And you go, okay, all right, cool. I just had to take out all the bullshit first.
Yep.
But that's when you have people that you crash with for 15 years of your career, they also see it where they're like, oh, cool. Yeah. We're going to, like, you were doing this bar show at this place. That bar's shut down now. It doesn't even exist anymore. And now you're doing Punchline Philly. It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially those friends that you only check in with once in a while.
Yeah, or like when you're in town, Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool feeling. Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny how these arts careers, they are punishing in that way, where you, on a daily basis, you feel like just getting nowhere with this.
I know. I've been in therapy for about 3 years, and I'm much more comfortable now, but I didn't realize how much I was using comedy as therapy. And the first year I was in therapy, my comedy struggled severely because
interesting.
I didn't realize when the moment I realized that that's what I was doing, and some people use comedy as therapy in the worst way, where you're like, go call someone. Literally go call someone right now. This is not where you're supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
But I would just there's these things that I go, okay, this happened to me. Where's the funny in that? And how do I find that funny? And is anyone else going to relate to this? And so I can do it for a little bit. And if no one can connect to it, I go, okay, let me drop that. And I'll, and then it doesn't it's like a problem that I internalize. It comes back later in life. But in that moment, I'm like, okay, I've gotten over this. Let me, and then like a car accident, and you're like, oh, what's funny about this car accident? Because I had a friend call me once and he was like, yeah, that joke is so dark. And I'm like, yeah, but it won't be dark in 6 weeks. It's new and I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
But when I got into therapy and I had actually someone to talk to and go about these problems and talk about the darker parts of your life.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time I was like, what do I talk about on stage? And it wasn't until I saw this notebook, and it's my first notebook from comedy, so it's from like 2009 or 8 or 9, and I had a joke in there about, because it's a joke I do now, but now it's very funny and lighthearted. But at that time, like the way I wrote it, it was like kind of dark.
Yeah.
I think it might have been about like my parents didn't hit me, but you got a spanking every once in a while.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But it was like the way I wrote it, it was like it sounded like my dad was abusing me.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened, right? But so I was like reading the notebook, and then I was like, oh, I do this joke about this now. Oh my God, I was using my comedy journal was also a journal.
Yeah.
And I was talking these things out on stage and like talking through like potentially childhood trauma or like a breakup trauma or whatever it was, and just figuring out where the funny was in it. And so now I figured out how to balance both, where it's like there's things to talk about on stage and things not to talk about on stage that you're supposed to talk to a professional with.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I had like 2022, 2023. I really struggled to do a lot of comedy because I just wasn't used to having someone appropriate to talk to about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. The last year and a half, my songwriting has gone from being pretty autobiographical to not at all.
Oh, to like just like making it up?
Just stories.
Yeah.
Stories, and it's become so much better. I should probably go to therapy, but I'm not doing that.
Well, it's expensive.
Yeah. And booze is real cheap.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
Comparative. Yeah. And I now when I actually do write a tune that's autobiographical, I don't know. I think it's so much more of a release. When I was doing that all the time, I remember like scratching out really good lyrics, just with that's not really how that happened.
Oh yeah,
like
the guilt of it not being completely true.
Yeah.
When I first started comedy, I had a really hard time with that, where I was like, it had to be specific, and I would get caught up in the details. So like, one, I was a college student trying to do jokes, or I was 22 trying to do these jokes.
Yeah.
And like, I would hear a story that my best friend Jack from Hagerstown told me, and then I would be telling the story from my perspective, and then someone would be like, well, that's Jack's story. And so I would try and tell it as Jack's story, and then people were like, why are you telling this guy's story? This is fucking weird.
Yeah.
And it was like, eventually, that kind of falls off, and you learn like, oh, that's just how you tell a story. It's from your perspective, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I would get kind of lost in these details and be like, oh, well, then this guy Matt was here, and then this guy Dustin was here, and then this. In reality, it's like no one fucking knows these
nobody
people.
Knows
no one knows what you're talking about.
Cares.
Yeah, I still do a lot of autobiographical jokes, but I have really the last like year or so, I've really learned to love the fantastical of just like rooted in truth, but then just go off the rails a bit with it. Like I have a story about Buffalo Exchange that is rooted in the monsters that work behind the desk at Buffalo Exchange and my interactions with them for the last 15 years of my life.
Yeah.
But then the story I make up is just, it's insane. It's like, it's just goofy, But it's close enough to being realistic that I know people are like, is that fucking happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so it's based in truth, but it's still I love kind of just being able to explore and create the story as we're going. And that's become really fun. But I do love when a story is completely true and it works out. Like, a lot of stories of my family are very easy to keep to the source, essentially, because I have a very funny family, and they were the first subject that I talked about. So when I do have something happen with my family, I'm like, I needed one of these. It's been a minute, but I know how to talk about it. But I do also enjoy the kind of like just making a story up.
My two most recent songs, one is about a guy as he's receiving lethal injection. He has a vision of the woman he killed forgiving him.
Oh, okay, nice.
There's that one.
It actually is fun.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like as lighthearted as you can get for a lethal injection.
There's forgiveness involved. Redemption.
Yeah.
And the other one is, what is it? It's a guy I really enjoy, because I don't know if you agree with this, but I mentioned earlier, like, to be anybody who's on stage, there's a little level of narcissism.
Well, I think there has to be.
There has to be to just survive doing it.
Yeah, because
you have somebody say, "Hey, you suck."
Yeah, and you have to turn your brain off, because it's it's a human's greatest fear is public speaking.
Yeah.
And you're like, not for me.
No, I deserve to be up there.
Yeah. So there has to be some level of narcissism to be like, well, it's everyone else's problem, but God chose me to speak on stage. And
this is what I do.
Yeah.
And so, like, in this little era of songwriting I'm in now, I really enjoy expelling that part of myself by writing these really narcissistic characters. And my most recent song I wrote is about a guy who lives in Reno for the proximity to legal prostitution.
Okay.
And inevitably falls in love with a prostitute.
Inevitably.
Who is just in it for the business transaction. And the whole song is him just being a cock. Yeah. Just him. It started out with this line that made
me... I'm the only guy that's ever gotten a prostitute to actually fall in love with them. Like, that's the perspective.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. And he just, the third line of every set of lyrics, he's just so obviously contradicting himself. The line that got the song started was, I'm leaving town. I hope Reno burns down. That girl's got a flair for the dramatic. It's like, motherfucker, you just said you're going to burn a whole city down.
Yeah.
She's dramatic?
Yeah.
And the whole song is him just being a cock.
I love it. It's fun.
I like it.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's fun. And it gets that part of you out where you get to be the ridiculous version of yourself.
Oh, I like some of my people that become instant friends in comedy for me are the ones that can watch my set and go, did you write that whole joke just so you could do that one thing? And I'm like, yeah. Like I have this joke about a car accident that I got into, but
I love this joke, by the way.
The deer one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great joke.
I wrote the whole joke exists just so I can go like this. And do the deer clapping their hooves together. And I was in Tucson back in March, and a new friend of mine, Curtis Cook, he like we did 4 shows together, and I think it was like the third show because he was always kind of moving in and out of the room, but he caught it and he goes, dude, you wrote that whole joke just to do that. And I was like, yeah. He's like, it's incredible. Yeah, it's like that's so funny. Like he's like, because the rest of it's like kind of whatever. And then when you did it, I was like, oh my God, he's only doing this for that. Yeah, this is great. And and I love that because it is a moment just for me. And and that's a joke that I'd say 40% of the time pops. Like really, like they're like, yeah. And that's not enough of a percentage to really keep doing it. But I'm like, well, this one's for me.
Yeah, it's
a
great joke.
Yeah. It's just it's so goofy.
The whole because it was a Prius, right?
Well, it was a hybrid. Yeah, it was a hybrid. It was a Ford hybrid, and then I do a joke about Ford and all this stuff. I've been kind of reworking it a bit on the road to make the deer part. But what's funny is I go, imagine getting up to deer heaven, and I can see them be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
And I'll say now, like, we're in deer heaven. I'm taking us to deer heaven.
Yeah.
This is the scenario we're in. This is the reality that we now live in. We're in deer heaven. People are like, all right, fucking whatever. Maybe the next joke's better. Go. Yeah. Yeah, then we do it. And I love it.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
I like that joke.
Yeah.
There's the other joke that's always stood out to me. I barely remember the context of the joke, but when you dropped the Benjamin Franklin abbreviation as B. Frank, I was like, this guy's fucking smart. This is hilarious.
That joke is so old. So I brought that back. That was one of the first when you first started booking me.
Yeah.
So the kind of behind that was I just released my special, The Pride of Hagerstown, which was taped at the 5 Spot.
Yep.
And I found out I had the full footage of the 40-minute album I had recorded in 2017 called Regrets of My Father.
Okay.
Both of those went to #1 on iTunes.
That's amazing, dude.
You get like 50 people and you can make the top of the charts.
Well, music's not like that.
No, not music. In comedy. In comedy.
That's still incredible.
For
dude.
one day, you can knock off Weird Al Yankovic and John Mulaney for some reason. But anyway, so I found I had that 40 minutes. Sent it to a friend because the story with that was Regrets of My Father was taped twice. The second time we lost the audio the first time. Or the first time it just didn't go great, and I was like, I don't feel good about that. The second time we lost all the audio, but I happened to record it on my phone, and I took an audio engineer who has since won an Emmy. He took it, and if you took I was talking about Carrie Underwood, acting from day one versus if you took what it sounded like on the phone versus what he did, it was like, holy shit. Now you're like, that sounds like someone recorded this on their phone, like this, it really does. But But I found that footage, sent it to another friend. He like played with the audio, and then I put it on YouTube. And I was looking at the numbers, and I was like, between the album and that, I can probably reuse a lot of these jokes. But I was 27 or 28 when I did that, so it's been about a decade. And I was like, let me go through and see what I can do. So when you had started booking me, I was trying to bring back the George Washington bit because I was watching it and I was like, this is so funny. Okay. Like there are certain jokes that I am far enough away from that I can look back and watch myself and go, I love this. This guy's not bad, But that was one was like drunk George Washington after winning the Revolutionary War. Yeah. But the B. Franco, that's a lot. There are certain lines that I don't think get enough love, and that was one of them. So I appreciate that you love it.
Oh yeah.
There's another one I said about. I have a joke about the service industry. It's like an 8-minute joke. It's very long, but in there's a joke about me shooting ICE agents, which I didn't realize was going to be so. I didn't think it was going to be relevant for as long as it is, and now I'm even more excited that I have a joke about shooting ICE agents.
Yeah.
But I have a line where it's like, I ain't shooting to kill, but I ain't shooting to miss neither. And no one's ever said anything about it. And then one YouTube comment or one like TikTok comment was like I ain't shooting to kill, but they're like, that line is so good. And I was like, I've been waiting for someone to acknowledge that for a decade. Thank you. Thank you, random TikToker. And then the next one, he's like, calling me gay. And I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, God, so close.
It's always the sweet and the sour that way.
Yeah. He's like, but you also suck. You're like, come on.
Yeah. Man, that's how it is with lyrics, too. Is like, someone will be like, oh, I really like this line. Yeah. And then someone will come up and be like, were you really a heroin addict? I was like, no, that song is a story. Like, that song's like so ridiculous. How could it, when there's so much, like, I do like storytelling musicians, and I like to listen to lyrics sometimes, but there are certain, like, musicians that, like Sergio Simpson, like, I don't understand what he's saying half the time. Yep. And then I'll, like, see the actual lyrics, and I'm like, oh my God, this is poetry. You know? Yeah. But I'll just kind of, like, be like, he says this, whatever. And I was driving with some friends in Tucson, different story, but also in Tucson, and someone, like, said caught one of his lines, and they said it out loud, and I was like, I never realized that's what he was saying, and that is... Like it's like almost like a bring you to tears kind of line. And it was like this whole time I was listening, I was like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but it seems fun, I've had the opposite experience with Radiohead, where I've thought like Tom York he's saying, oh my God, these lyrics are so heavy and they're so like, wow. And then you read the lyrics and you're like, oh yeah, I was misunderstanding just about every single word.
Oh, this whole thing was about socks.
Oh my God, yeah. There's a couple of songs that I was like, oh, these lyrics are actually just total garbage. Yeah. And I was misunderstanding them.
Yeah. Do you have any musicians that you like swore by, and then you became an adult and you became a working like musician, and then you're like, oh, I didn't realize they were absolute dog shit, and not like as a person, because there's plenty of that, but like just as a musician.
Wow, that's a cool question. Let's see. I mean, I hate to say it, but probably John Mellencamp.
Huh. Okay.
Like I remember as a teenager with the Jack and Diane video, and all those songs. I was like, oh wow, this is really good stuff. Yeah. And then like the song I liked the best, Wild Night. He didn't write. That's not his song. Oh, that's an old song. Oh, it was not. He just.
Like when you. Oh my God! When I find out something's a cover and I've thought it was theirs the whole time, I'm like,
it's brutal.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. You just pulled the wool over me.
Yeah. Like, this whole time. You
just sang it.
I was like, I want my tickets back. I want my ticket money back. Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
I don't know. I think a lot of that. And using the old definition of Americana, not like Americana.
I didn't realize that was a thing until I saw like someone posted on Reddit or something, and they were like bashing Americana. They were talking about how I think it was like Tyler Childers is like, this is not Americana, like whatever this is now is not, like I don't want that. I don't want to be called that. I think it was him that said it, but I was like, I didn't realize there was a thing happening.
Americana, things of America, like the symbolism of America, like talking about like Edward Hopper, that kind of Americana. Yeah. Right? I hope he was American. I'm pretty sure. But as it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, actually, I hope he was not French. Yeah, no, he's American.
Someone better Wikipedia it.
Yeah, really.
Or you're gonna update it. You're gonna update the Wikipedia and just be like, fucking American.
I'm gonna put a voiceover.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff, the Springsteen stuff, John Mellencamp. I've lost my taste for a lot of that, like. Good old boys doing the thing with the factory and the blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, God, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny. That's like the American ideology of like that's the only way to be an American. You're like that's actually not. There's a lot of different things.
Yeah,
There's like a lot of different things.
Meanwhile, I think there's stuff like CCR that when I was a kid, because of it's funny. I swear, as a kid, I knew he was putting that affectation on his voice to sound like he's from Louisiana or something. For some reason, I feel like I always knew that was fake deep in my heart.
But you didn't actually know it was fake?
No. Actually, I
so
just
funny.
very recently learned that it's completely put on. They're from fucking California, you know, and never saw a swamp before they wrote any of that music about swamps.
Yeah, that's why I stopped doing my southern accent. People finally found me out, and they were like, "He's from Maryland. He's not far enough south to actually have one." Yeah.
CCR is something that I appreciate so much more as an adult. Like when I was a kid, I really thought it was hokey and, you know, all of that stuff with the accent I thought was cheesy.
Yeah.
And now as an adult, yeah, the stuff I thought was cool is like,
differently.
come on, this is so cheesy. And the stuff I thought was cheesy is like, this fucking rules.
And I think some things are cycles too, where you like come back around and you go, oh, I forgot, I actually did used to like this. And you listen again, and you're like, oh, like this sucks now. And then you listen like later, and you're like, oh, it's great again. You know, I like when that happens too.
I hate this bug. I'm just picturing people get distracted by this bug crawling up and down the cable.
I was lost in your eyes.
Oh, very good.
In your storytelling abilities.
Yes. Well, we all know.
Yeah.
What about you? What comedy did you love as a teenager? Like, were you a Dane Cook fan back in the day?
I was gonna bring up Dane Cook because what I like. There's gotta be something that I was young enough that I missed. Yep. And I still like, even as a like, you know, I'm not. I have some friends that are like comedy scholars, and there's there's some of it that I am, but like. I haven't seen like every Bill Hicks special. I haven't seen every Pryor special. Like I've watched Delirious probably 10,000 times. You know, because
for me it's Raw. I've watched
Raw. I've seen a ton.
So many times.
Yeah. But like I'm not like. You know, I've seen, I've read Steve Martin's book, and that was like, I always think Steve Martin's book should be the comedy Bible. But Dane Cook, like, I loved. Like when I was starting, I was starting in 2008, 2009. I mean, he was
the
guy. He was the guy.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the Dane Cook hate because I went back. My most recent ex and I sat and watched Vicious Circle. And it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I like enjoyed it the entire way. There was one joke that I was like, that one wouldn't hold up right now. Which is so funny that's only 2008 and it's like the jump from 2008 vernacular and what was appropriate to like 2012 is drastic.
Oh yeah.
You know, but he had this one joke that you're like, well, it was funny because it's a relatively clean, like not clean like Bargassi clean.
I wonder if we're thinking of the same joke.
But he just like talking about like going down on a woman.
Oh, okay, nope, not the same joke.
It comes out. It's a very like out of pocket joke where it's like it doesn't fit with the rest of the hour, but it's still very funny. Like my ex and I were watching it, and she was like, "Oh, I don't remember this joke," and I was like, "I don't either." It was fucking hilarious and really weird, but otherwise the whole hour's great. Like it's really funny, and I was like, "Why do people hate this guy so much?" And I still don't know what happened. Like I know the bubble burst, and I know like things moved around, and then people became smarter. And there is a correlation between who's president and the type of comedy we're getting, obviously.
Oh, interesting.
And Bush wasn't the smartest president. We had a lot of dumb comedy, and Dane Cook is considered dumb comedy. Obama comes in, we started getting smart comedy again, and now we have Trump, and then we have Biden, and we have Trump again, and comedy's been pretty fucking dumb. But there also are still a lot of like very smart, thought-provoking comics working. They're just not getting the same spotlight as Matt Rife or whatever.
Yeah.
But I still don't understand. Like, I really like to this day, I don't get what happened with Dane Cook. That they were like, now we fucking hate him.
Yeah.
And I really, I don't understand it. I've never understood it.
I mean, I recall a couple things, but nothing that I know if it's actual factual or not.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the life before everything was internet.
Yeah.
For old guys like me. Like, I remember hearing rumors about why we all hated Dane Cook.
Tell me of the.
He stole jokes from Louis C.K.
Oh, well, that I knew. I knew. Yeah. And that's a massive no. But Robin Williams also stole jokes all the time.
Oh, yeah. It was a different culture back.
Yeah, and I've had jokes, not like stolen, but I have said a joke, and then a person's on a certain TV show, and then I'm like, that's pretty close to the fucking joke that they heard me tell at this point. But sometimes you do just like hear certain lines and stuff. Like I said a line once, and then like 2 years later, I was watching a Gary Goldman special and was like, oh, that's a Gary Goldman line. I must have just had it rattling around my brain, riffed it, and then so that's a little different than full. I mean, Amy Schumer was lifting Patrice O'Neill jokes. Like that's very
which
different.
Which is unforgivable.
And then when it's word for word, it's like, come on, this is tough. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But for everyone to turn on him is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think you're right. He did get kind of mixed up in a big cultural shift.
Yeah, because he's back. I mean, he's back. He's touring. My friend Adam opens for him. Like, he does a lot of casinos.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of casinos.
I don't know if it was his first special, but it was, as I recall, on CD, not on video.
Yeah, it sounds
right. It's called Harmful If Swallowed.
Okay.
It's freaking hilarious. It's when he's just starting to blow up, and some of there's some throwaway stuff in there.
Yeah.
But most of it's hilarious.
That was when I started comedy, it was a really interesting era because it was coming out of the Dane Cook era into the kind of Louis C.K. era. Yeah. And like there was like Patton Oswalt was huge, and there was alt comedy. There was a ton of alt comedy.
Yeah, Eric
and there
Andre and all that.
Yeah, and there was like the Comedians of Comedy tour, and like that was like him and Zach Galifianakis, and like that was like a fuck you tour to mainstream comedy.
Totally.
And that's really funny to think about now.
So much better than mainstream comedy.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was. And I remember like not really knowing what alt comedy was because I was just like, I don't like Dane Cook, and I had a roommate and comic friend named Sean Connolly, and Sean was like, you got to watch this. Yeah. And I remember being like, it's all right. It's fucking weird, and Sean's weird, so But now I watch it and I'm like, oh, this is where my sense of humor kind of comes from.
Yeah.
Like
peak intellectualism in that time.
Yeah, and like one reason people love Tim Robinson so much is like it's kind of it's not exactly like that by any means, but you do see a through line of it. The kind of alt path of like there. That's how you get from wherever to Rome. Yeah.
Yeah. The little thing in the cars when the guy's like, don't you know how to drive? He's like, no, I don't.
Well, like, what I love about that show is, like I said, my brother's 12 years younger than me. My sister's 10 years younger than me. They love that show just as much as millennials love that show. And that's rare that like Gen Z and millennials can be like, what do we both find funny? And it's I think you should leave. It's Tim Robinson. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's especially funny because it's all so over the top ridiculous.
Yeah.
In a way that you would think, a lot of people must find this cringy.
Yeah.
And yet they don't.
Well, when it's him and is it Cam O'Connor or whoever his buddy is, like when those two get in a scene together, what I love about it just as a comedian is that you can tell they're such good friends that they're just trying to make each other laugh.
Yeah.
And you can see them fighting to laugh. And that's something in comedy I don't see as like I'll see like friends, not like personal friends, like comics bring like oh, my good friend Matt Rife, my good friend blah, blah, blah. They're just famous. They're not really like a good comic, but they'll bring them on stage and I see them try and do this sort of banter and you're like, this is so just mechanical and structured and fake. And it's just you trying to like, look, we're such good friends, so you should respect me as much as you admire this guy, like Matt Rife or whatever. And
I'm placing myself on this same plane.
Yeah, because, and like, their chemistry though looks so real, and it's like I do love when I can see like there's certain times on Instagram I'll see two people together in like they're both in Houston together, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad to see they're still friends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and they're working together. That's even better. I love that. I do like that a lot.
Yeah, I feel like musicians have a funny version of that where it's like, when somebody's in the audience.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I'll be in a solo and I'll play a lick that I know my buddy Mike's sitting at the front table there.
Yeah.
This is going to make him laugh. Nobody else in the audience is going to have... They're not even going to notice it. It's just part of a solo. Yeah, it's going to flow just fine. But I'm going to play this weird lick and my buddy Mike's going to crack up.
Yeah. My friends just all got into town today for a bachelor party for the weekend. It's a lot of my friends from New York, and one's my old roommate, Tori. And Tori and I worked together at Letterman, and then we shared a trundle bed for 3 years. Oh, Jesus. Which is, you can only do in New York. Yeah. You can, have roommates in Nashville, but you can't share a trundle bed.
No.
You know what I mean? And it basically started because I was living in Bushwick, and then I didn't love my roommate situation. One of the roommate that I did like, he moved, and then I was just kind of with this, weird 30-year-old dude, which... like now I'm like, well, now I'm 37. 30 doesn't seem that old, but when you're like 22, it's like it's kind of weird living with a 30-year-old. Yeah,
when you're 22.
And he was like a professional longboarder. He was like very cool, but just weird roommate. Anyway, Tori hits me up. He's like, hey, we got to share. He's like, if you want to live in Williamsburg, you got to share a room with me. And I was like, let's do it. And the plan was to do it for 6 months. Ends up being 3 years. Get along, great. But Tori has been to a exceptional amount of shows. He's been to like all my tapings, all my recordings, everything, and he has a very distinct laugh. And I've always wanted to do a mashup of all his laughs throughout the years, starting from like 2012 to now. And there's another joke. I have a joke about working at Boxers, which is a gay sports bar in New York, and I have a joke about that. And I've put it in. I put it in both albums, and now it's a joke when I'm headlining. Like I try not. I only use it now if I'm in an emergency. Like if I'm oh, I'm bombing, I need to tell this story. But Tori's now soon-to-be wife. When she's at a show, I'll like always be like, "You want to tell a gay sports bar joke?" And she's like, "Yeah, tell it." And so I always tell that for her. And
that's cool.
And I'm coming up on. I'm going to record another album here in July, and cool. It's a little different from. It's not like it's like 5 stories I've already done before, and then 2 stories that are new. But it's basically because I just want to have a vinyl. Like for merch.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I've always wanted to have a vinyl. And also I was kind of inspired by Sergil just going straight to vinyl and YouTube. And I was like, why don't I just do that? Like I don't make anything off Spotify. I've already done number 1. Like I've already done that. So I don't feel like I need to do it a third time. I kind of want to, but like I don't need to do it with that. Yep. So I'm shooting this straight to vinyl and I'm doing that gay sports bar joke on that as well. And then the goal was to either by the end of this year or early next year, tape my next special. And I was like driving the other day and I was like, I think I might just like do the gay sports bar joke for every special until I quit comedy. Like, I think I might do, because like, even from the first album to the next one, it's still a little different.
It's your free falling.
Yeah, it's just such a like silly story, and I've been adding a joke now where not to do the whole joke, but the true story was my first day at this gay bar. I walked in, it was RuPaul's Drag Race season finale, and this is in New York, so they're showing it on this giant projector. Girls from the show, some of the queens from the show are there hosting it, and it is just wall to wall drag queens and like. You know, allies. I mean, it's packed, right? It's my first day, and like, you know, I'm coming from Emerson, which is one of the like most gay friendly schools in the country.
For sure.
But then like when you're surrounded by it in New York, and you're like, oh, I'm in a whole new environment, right?
Yeah.
And that was my first day, and literally I was like struggling to get this bucket of glasses to the bar, and one of the drag queens yelled at this girl in front of me and was like, get out of that boy's way. And then another drag queen went, that's not a boy, that's a man. And the way I've been adding, and I've even been adding stuff to it now where I was like, I worked at I was like, it was my first time walking in and I saw wall-to-wall drag queens. I was like, actually, Chrissy Nome's husband was there. You know, I've been doing that as like so I add little tags to it and stuff.
Nice.
So I think I'm going to keep just doing this joke every single album or special or whatever for just the end of time, till the end of time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is your... The joke about spotting the guy benching 300 pounds, is that on one of the specials?
That will be on the next one when I do it. Yeah, because that's still a relative. So that was actually that's joke.
A great joke.
Thank you. And that joke specifically was one I was doing it again recently, and I was like, man, this joke's old. And I was like, actually, this joke isn't on anything besides like you know, the Instagram.
Sure.
And I was like, how many of these jokes do I think are old, but I just haven't recorded something? And then I looked back and I was like, oh, I'm actually coming up on like a new hour. Like cool. In total, I was like, I need to like focus and get this hour because I'm still kind of leaning on some old stories and that. So another reason I want to do this vinyl is to officially retire some of these stories that I also think deserve a second moment in the sun because they are very funny stories. It's just the way the medium works is like it's hard to get a 5-minute story on an Instagram reel, you know.
Oh, of course,
and sometimes it works out, but you know, and that's why I kind of want to go straight to YouTube. I'll clip it out for Instagram and then have the vinyl as merch and sell that where I sell it. But that was at Gym 5, and
I believe it.
And since then, the world's strongest man now works there. He works out there.
Really?
Evan, I don't remember Evan's last name, but he literally won the world's strongest man competition sometime in the last like 6 months.
Wow.
So now he works out there. His posters all over the place. Super nice guy. But he actually, like, I've released that video on Instagram. It went viral. And I tagged him in it, or like I sent it to him or something, and then he reposted it.
Oh, nice.
And I think some people were like, was that him who was bench pressing? I was like, he wouldn't be bench pressing 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, he's curling 300 pounds. Like, he's
child's
curling
play
with
for
one
him.
arm 300 pounds. But that did happen. I was sitting there on my bench, and I was like literally like just lifting a weight, and then I hear like someone coughing, and I look over, and the guy's like, hey, can you spot me? And I'm not even, well, I say it in the joke, but I literally looked over my shoulder and was like, what?
Yeah.
And the guy had me come over, and he's got 2 plates. It's so much weight. And as I'm pushing it, I'm realizing like, if he like doesn't finish this, I'm dropping it on him.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm trying to not look like I'm trying.
Yeah.
But I am putting everything I have into this thing, and I put it up on the bench. He gets up, he does high five me, and then I went and I sat on the bench, and I had to get up and walk into the bathroom because I just started maniacally laughing. Like I just was uncontrollably laughing because I was like, why did he choose me?
Yeah.
And I'm just laughing so hard.
You
and
almost killed that
man. And I come back and he's still on the bench and he was like, dude, thanks so much for that, man. That was great. And I was like, what the hell?
What are you talking about?
So when I posted that joke on Instagram, because like I said, it did pretty well, and the comments are very funny because, mostly just people are like, I love this joke, I love that, blah, blah, blah. But there are also like gym rats that comment and they're like, well, that's not that much weight, or like, or you should have been doing this with your legs, stuff like literally critiquing how I was doing it. But I remember one person goes, oh, I know what he was doing because I do the same thing. Some guys go to the gym and they ask the smallest person there to help them. They don't actually need the help. It's just to make them feel better. And I was like, that couldn't have been what was happening. Because I'm definitely not the smallest person in the gym. I'm probably in that bottom 5%, you know? But like, it's like I'm definitely not the smallest guy there. But then after he said that, I was like,
was I the smallest
And
person?
I don't know if I've ever seen that guy there since.
That's so
so
funny.
So now I'm like, did I make this up? And like some guardian angel came down and was like, Will's having a bit of a rough time. Let me just make him feel good in the gym, you know?
Oh my God.
That is a moment too. Like I'm so lucky to have so many moments like that. Like I was talking about, like my family does that a lot, where I just like my dad. I have this joke about my dad where I was going through a breakup back in 2018, and I was talking about like my sister or something. We're on a family vacation, and my dad literally goes, "Oh my God, we still talking about this shit?" And I was like, "Dad, we just broke up like 2 months ago." And he was like, and he was like, "Come on, we'll just get over it." And I was like, "Dad, she was my best friend." And he goes like, I married my best friend. She barely talks to me. And my mom was sitting right there. And it literally says it. And I just was like, well, fucking, that's the joke,
good.
And the gym was one
Nailed
of those
the
moments.
delivery.
Yeah, my dad is full of like little lines where I'm like, you want to go on the road? Do you want to go on the road and help me out with this? But yeah, the gym one was like, yes. Like, thank God this happened. Now let me go tell everyone about it. Yeah.
I remember I don't remember when it was, but I remember that joke from you telling it at 5 Spot.
Yeah.
There's a few of you guys that have had me like freaking scream laughing at 5 Spot.
You get some good guys through.
Yeah. I respect all of you that come and do it because it's a tough room.
It is tough.
And people didn't come to a comedy show.
Yeah, and that's why I do like, there's definitely days where I'm like, okay, I don't know if I needed this today, but at least like when I'm off, I get to watch you guys keep playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like comedy, like when you bomb, then you got to like watch all your shitty friends bomb,
Yeah.
like I get to like watch music and they go, I'm having a really nice night. And now I'm in control of my own destiny. And then I bomb and I'm like, and destiny did not favor me. Favor the
now
bold.
I will go home.
Yeah. And then I get to keep watching music and go, oh, it's okay. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It drives me nuts. Like the comedians, for some reason, they always have somewhere to go, even when they kill. When they kill and they could work the room and get 20
they all
new
go over to
Instagram followers.
They all go to East Room. Like,
The
one thing
mic.
that's so weird to me, and I don't mind keeping this in, the weirdest thing to me about Nashville's comedy scene, and I've been here for 5 years now, they worship open mics. And it makes sense because the talent level has, it's so low at the moment. Like, and it's like, well, yeah, because if you're only ever doing open mics, how do you get better? You're supposed to graduate from open mics.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying don't ever do them. Like, I run one on Mondays. You know what I mean? But like, you gotta want to you want to graduate, and that's the thing is everyone just runs over to the East Room, and like that mic's been around for a long time. Josh Lewis is a good friend. I love what they're doing. I love the Gray Grays. Like I love them, but there's nights where like that room's just as tough as Tight 5 Tuesday. It's just as tough, and like and they run over there. I'm like, why are you doing? And it's a hang though, and like I get it, and like when you're seen there, you're seen by certain people that work Zanies regularly that they're gonna be like, so and so's been at the mics. We should have them come over here and bomb. So I do understand it, but it's there's like luckily because I've removed myself from that whole whatever you want to call it. I get to go, all right, well, I'm going to sit here and lick my wounds. And that's why it was so funny when that guy came up and was like, man, I've had some tough nights, but not as bad as that, or whatever he said. And I was like, I'm trying to forget. Like, thanks,
Can we move on, please?
Yeah.
I didn't critique all the bad notes you played in your set, pal.
Yeah.
Eat it.
Like, imagine if I noticed that too. And I was like, man, that A minor was horrendous.
Yeah, it was supposed to be an A flat.
Yeah, and he's like, how did you know that? And I was like, well, my dad Mozart may have taught me a thing or two.
Perfect pitch.
Yeah.
Man. All right, let's close this thing out.
Sure.
What I want to do, I just had this idea. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's a bad idea. I'm going to throw names at you and tell me your perspective as a comedian.
Okay.
Lewis Black.
Lewis Black, I always associated with The Daily Show for a long time. I don't think we have a Lewis Black right now that I can think of.
No, I would agree
Like
with
that was such a specific, like in my mind, he was like the old crazy guy that showed like you can be a crazy old liberal.
Yeah.
And I mean, we kind of have Marin, but Marin's a different type of angry.
Yeah, it's a very different type of angry.
But yeah, Lewis Black. Yeah, it's funny. I haven't thought about that guy in a while.
He was one of the very first comedians I got absolutely obsessed with from Comedy Central Presents. Back in the early 90s, because I've been obsessed with stand up since I was probably 11 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I remember seeing Lewis Black with 20 other people.
I mean, it's God. There's so many. That's another thing too. Is like Colin Quinn is another one where I'm not like a huge Colin Quinn fan. But I happened to. He was at Zany's. I want to say it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I was
at that show.
Yeah, and I went and I was like, I'm not gonna say it was like the best I've ever seen or anything like that, but it was fascinating. And I was like, oh, this whole thing is the direct correlation between the Bible and current social media structure.
Yeah.
And it was very eye-opening, but it was so smart and so simple that I was like, how has no one else thought about this? But and my whole point of bringing Colin Quinn up was like, he's someone that was like so smart for so long, been around for so long, and you know, most people don't know who the fuck he is. And like Lewis Black's kind of the same thing where it's like, like millennials we had Comedy Central, we had that, you know, and so we have all these guys, but there's not really anything like that except for your phone, except for TikTok and yeah.
I mean, Tough Crowd. Yeah. Like, do you remember that show?
Yes, I didn't watch Tough Crowd. But I do remember.
You're just a little bit young. You're younger than me enough.
Yeah. It's just only like 4 or 5 years, but it is that.
Tough Crowd was obsessed as a teenager.
Yeah.
So I got into Patrice. I was already into Greg Giraldo, but he was on the show quite a bit.
Would Burr have been on that?
Burr, yes, a very young Burr.
Yeah. Okay.
It was before Burr was really. It's funny.
Well, yeah, the Burr we see now is still a relatively new Burr. Like, because his first special wasn't until he was 40. And everyone thinks he's been just like Bill Burr the entire time. And it was like his breakout moment was when he was defending Patrice O'Neal in Philadelphia. And there's that iconic moment where which that's another thing that I always think about when like an audience is kind of hating me. I'm like, if I can get them to like me at the end, I'm going to be pretty excited about this.
Totally.
But to take Philly, which besides Philly and Boston are tough crowds. Brutal. But to take Philly, make them hate you, and then make fun of them to a point that they're even like, damn, he's good.
Yeah.
And then make them love you is, I mean, it really is one of the most iconic moments in stand-up. Yeah.
It's the same thing with Louis C.K. I remember when Louis C.K. wasn't funny, when he was just kind of a, C- stand-up.
Yeah.
And then he became one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Okay, another name, Chris Fleming.
Oh, Chris is fantastic. Chris used to pop in when I was doing mics at Emerson.
Cool.
So I remember very specifically, we had a show, and I don't remember the second comic.
God, did he go to Emerson? He screams Emerson.
I don't know if he went to Emerson. I wouldn't be shocked if he did.
No.
But he was in Boston when I was there.
Okay.
And Chris Fleming, and what was that other guy's name? The other guy is still a working comic in Boston, and I hate that I'm forgetting his name because he was the bigger comic at the time. But I remember we were doing a show for Chris Fleming and this other guy, and so we got to like all like do our sets, and then I remember watching him and being like, what the fuck? Because he's so flamboyant and he's just so charismatic, and like now I watch him and I'm like, he's one of my favorite comics working right now.
Me too.
Like I love all the stuff he does. But I remember at that time just being like, what the hell is this? Yeah. But also that was before I discovered Rory Scovel as well, and like they're very different, but they do have a very specific style, and that like no one can really do that. Like I've seen people try and do what Rory does and it doesn't work, and I have seen people try and do kind of what Chris does, and it doesn't really work. Like
I can't imagine trying to do what Chris does.
Yeah, he's like one of the only people that can really do that, which is like extremely pop culture, but also a bit niche, and then just like a full-blown theatrical performance.
Totally.
Yeah. Totally. No, Chris is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Rory as well. Like, man, he is one of those people that he makes you laugh at things that you would never think could be really funny.
Yeah. I mean, he just posted his clip yesterday about like not being in a gangbang. And then he does, and that's how the jokes, and that's what's so cool about his writing structure, is it starts with him going like, yeah, I've never been in a gangbang. Imagine I get all sad. And then it's like, and then he's off. and then he's off to the races, and then it's him acting out, being the guy invited to a gangbang for the first time, be like, hey, you want to go to we're all going to Linda's house. He's like, oh yeah, I'll go, and the whole, and you're watching, and you're like, it all started with him just being like, I've never been to a gangbang. Yeah. And, and it's and he just goes so. I was fortunate enough. He has a new special coming out this fall, and I was fortunate enough to see one of the early versions of it because I got to work with him last May in Portland, Maine, actually, and I hadn't seen him do his hour since his HBO special, or whatever, and I hadn't worked with him since Boston. And those days, I don't think he even remembered. Like, we talked about it, and I was like, "Yeah, I did the studio," and he's like, "I'm sure I saw you, but like, how many people do I meet? Yeah. But I saw his new hour is in like. I think blows away his last 2 hours.
Really?
It's so good. And I don't want to spoil anything, but there's like some topic where there was one specific topic that he does like 20 minutes on or 15 minutes on. And we were talking in the green room, and he was like, if I could, I would do an hour just on that topic, but I wouldn't be able to sell it. It would be completely unsellable if I did that because it's religious based. Okay. And it's so specifically, it's like it's a big member in he's a pretty respected guy in religion. Yeah. Like, a lot of trouble has come from this man since he came to exist 2,000 years ago. Yeah. But he was like, if I could do an hour on that, I would. And he's like, but there's no one that would buy it. And so he does his segment with it. And I haven't seen that hour since. So I'm so excited to see the special because it's been a year and he's been just touring nonstop. So I'm pumped. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next name, Dan Dosimo.
Don't know. I don't know if I know Dan. Is he relatively new?
I think he might be, yeah.
Is he like blowing up? Like, is this like clips blowing up?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, if it's the person I'm thinking of, my brother I think sent me one of his clips, and it was funny as shit.
Yeah. I think I find him to be a very fresh voice.
Okay.
Very just like we're saying, you could try to do that, but nobody else could really do it.
Okay, text me. I'll look him up more to make sure it's the same guy that you were talking about.
Let's see. I had one more. Oh, Sean Patton. Do you know Sean Patton?
Oh yeah, I tried to work with Sean at Blue Ridge Comedy Club up in Bristol, and the club owner just doesn't. It's been read.
Oh no.
But he didn't respond to me. And because usually when you reach out to the headliners, either they just make it happen or like. Some of them, one of them specifically, she was like, "Hey, can you just deal with it because I don't want to have to go through my agent because then the agent has to go back through them, and we're taking 4 steps instead of you just doing 1 step." And Sean did that kind of approach. He's like, "Look, I'm down. Just ask them." And then I asked them, and they didn't answer. And then that show got moved to May. I got booked somewhere else. I did ask about that May date originally. And then he didn't answer me again, and I was like, all right, it's getting kind of annoying because I know you're reading it, and I considered us friends, but I guess maybe I was wrong about that.
Oh, that's about right.
And then my buddy Brandon Gerald ended up being the feature anyway. When I saw it on Brandon posted his calendars, and I was like, oh, Brandon's doing it. Okay, that's fine. Like,
Brandon's
fine.
Great. Yeah.
And then then I ended up booking New York, and so I was like, so it all worked out. But I've been trying to work with Sean for a while. Is the long version of it, and he's fantastic.
He's really funny.
Yeah.
He had that. I don't know if it was early, but it was kind of when I discovered him. He had that bit about Jamaican RoboCop. Okay. And it was just like, oh my God, this is so good.
The first time I saw him live was 2018. It was actually, I remember it was September of 2018. Okay. I had just gone to North Carolina and did my first weekend road run with another comic from New York, Gabe Pacheco. I put it together, but Gabe came down with me because he was he runs a show called Funhouse. Funhouse has been around. It's actually about to wrap up finally after 15 years of running at Pete's Candy Store. Yeah. But Gabe and I went down, did this little run in North Carolina, and then Gabe was like, hey, can we be back in New York tonight from Asheville? And I was like, that's a 12-hour drive. And he was like, yeah, well, I just got put on the show, and it was Sean Patton, Gary Goldman, Robert Dean, who was I think I haven't talked to Robert in a long time, but he was on an Amazon. He was having his moment then. I'm sure he's doing fine now, but in that moment he was like a name. And there was one other bigger comic that I'm forgetting at the moment, but I could have just stopped at Gary Goldman and Sean Patton. It was we got to get there.
Yeah.
So
Goldman's a genius.
Oh, Goldman's. We can talk about that in a second, but just bust ass getting Gabe to the show, thinking maybe I'll get a guest spot, Yeah. And then that didn't happen. It's at Three's Brewing. But not the brewery. It's at the restaurant in Greenpoint. It's in a room the size of your kitchen. Yeah. And there's 20 audience members, maybe 15 audience members. And I was like, holy shit, these guys are doing this. And that's a thing that I've always held on to is They will do these shows because it's New York and you do these shows.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the first time I saw Sean Patton live, and I was like I had known who he was. I just hadn't really watched his stuff, and he fucking was so good. Yeah. Like it was great. Yeah.
Really funny. Yeah. Yeah. Goldman's a genius.
I think in this economy, his 2012 special is still one of the best specials made in the last 20 years. Like I think it's just a genius, and it holds up, and it's also like a bit of a unknowingly, it's a bit of like a warning to now. And because he talks about billionaires, he talks about Trump, and like you kind of see that now, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy's a joke. This guy was a joke, and he's like talks about that, and now it's like, oh my god, fuck, Gary told us.
Yeah.
But his storytelling abilities and the way he kind of what I was saying, like how I'll take a joke that's 4 minutes long, and I have a 1 minute version, a 4 minute version. I learned that from Gary Goldman because Gary Goldman has the Trader Joe's story.
Yes.
And on the album, that is 8 tracks. 8 separate tracks, but it's a 20-minute story or something like a 15-minute story. But they each sit as their own. They can be their own jokes. Yeah. It's really a fascinating way to write.
His thing on Conan, I don't remember
the abbreviations.
The abbreviations.
Yeah, that's another iconic one.
I think I was in my 20s when that dropped. When he did that set on Conan.
He started doing it again kind of recently. Like he brought it back. Cool. Yeah, but his little just like so my the joke about Buffalo Exchange. It's funny because when I first started doing it, it was very much a Gary Goldman bit the way I wrote it.
Yeah.
And I was telling it, and I could hear myself doing it like Gary. I wasn't doing it like Will.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I was just doing that subconsciously, I think, because I needed to get used to the joke, and now I tell it like Will. But I was telling it at Rosemary and Beauty Queen, and my friend Micah, who's also obsessed with Gary, afterwards he goes, Micah Cohn. Yeah, Micah was like, that was a very Gary Goldman joke. He was like, you sounded a lot like Gary Goldman. And he was saying that as a compliment.
Oh, good.
Because I have a line where I go, I'm talking about this woman named Piper, and I was like, and she had a Y in her name that's not normally there. And I was like, A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y? No, always Y for Piper. But I was delivering it more like Gary at the time, and that was the one that Michael was like, that sounds exactly like Gary. And he's like, I love it. But yeah, just that abbreviation joke when he goes, oh, Dottie, you lush.
Oh
like just little lines that he adds that just make it so good, and I'm like, I love it. I love the way he writes. Yeah.
And when he goes, oh, you would have loved Dottie.
Oh, you would have loved Dottie.
Oh man.
So the first time I saw him was at the Comedy Studio, and I talked about the audition. But you had to audition. The owner would have you watch 3 shows to try and weed people out from being like, I don't want to do this.
Oh wow.
And like you were talking about narcissism, the narcissistic 20-year-old was like, I want to do this more than anything. So my last time watching, I've told this story before, but it's still one of my favorite stories, is the last night I'm watching, Gary Goldman's headlining, and my friend Max Fox was on the show. Max was a college student with me, but he was, at that time, like in my mind, ahead of me in comedy because he'd been doing it longer. His brother played the voice of Dash Incredible. Like, I was like, this guy is in comedy, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, Max was doing a set there. He told me Gary Goldman was going to close it out, and it was my last night to watch the show, and I was like, before I could audition, and I was like, yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
And Gary's doing 20 minutes. And there was this guy that wasn't heckling, but he was talking the whole time. But he was doing that, like, friendly heckling where they just think they're kind of helping. So, like, you say something like, oh, the fucking Red Sox. He's like, yeah, the Red Sox suck, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, let me do the joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Stop interrupting.
And he was kind of doing that, but he never interrupted anyone's set. But Gary hates people that talk during a show. He hates hecklers, like, more than anything on the planet. Like, maybe more than Nazis. Like, hates him.
Saying something.
Yeah. And so he gets up, he's doing his thing. The guy kind of does this friendly heckling to Gary, and Gary drops a set, and he's like, I swear to God, you've been doing this shit all fucking night. I'm going to rip your goddamn face off. Goes ballistic on this dude. And the guy tries to say something back, and he's like, oh, and then he starts calling him racist. He's like, you fucking racist. He's like, you're wearing a Red Sox shirt. The Celtics just beat the shit out of the Lakers, and you can't even put a Lakers or Celtics jersey on because you're too racist to support. That was back when the Celtics were like had the big 3 and and they were the shit. They were kind of starting that new era of the NBA. So he's going. And then he's like, I swear to God, when you leave here, make sure you walk down the steps backwards, or I'm going to put my fist so you can see me, or I'm going to put my fist through your chest, and then I got to go to my therapist. And blah, blah, blah. He's like, I have a hold of the bag. As he says that, the guy next to me, who's the next biggest guy in the room, because Gary's 6'6". He's huge.
Giant.
Guy next to me stands up and he goes, I'm Staff Sergeant so-and-so. Sorry, I spit on you. He's like, I'm Staff Sergeant so-and-so. You don't touch him. That's my best friend. And then Gary's like, oh, I don't want to get this right now. But come on, look at me. Like, I don't care that you're a veteran. Like, He's like, no, Gary, you're getting me all wrong. And he turns to his friend and he goes, Kevin, shut the fuck up. Gary, you're the man. Keep going. We love you. And then he sits down and Gary's like, I don't know where to go from here. And he's like, I don't know. I have to wrap the show up. And so he like does like another joke. And then he just was like, I guess does someone want to walk me to my car? And then he like gets off. And then like, I have to go to the club owner and he's like, you still want to audition? And I was like, more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
I was like, that was that. And and to go back to it, that interaction is what I love about live stand-up comedy. Like, yes, I don't want it to be aggressive like that all the time.
Yeah, of
But
course.
the way that it ended positively, it ended up friendly. It ended up being so funny, and it's a moment I remember forever. And it does make me get frustrated with like this kind of forced crowd work stuff because they're trying to force these sort of moments, and they go, I just want that guy to snap, so I have a viral clip. And it's like, no, Gary was genuinely mad.
Yep.
He was airing out his grievances.
Yep.
He was being very funny about it the entire time. Found the line, crossed the line, pissed off the vet next to me, and then they got to have that. And it was like, it only happens in stand-up. That only happens in stand-up. And it's what I love about it so much. But also, when I saw Gary that first time, that was the first time I learned how to do storytelling. Because I was trying to do storytelling then, and I couldn't quite figure it out. Like, I knew how to do it in a screenplay. But a screenplay, you go up, it climaxes, and it goes back down. Mm-hmm. So my jokes... the punchline would be down here. The punchline would not be as funny as this moment up here. And I couldn't quite figure out how to get it to work. So when I watched Gary, that's when I was like, oh, that's how a story works. So a lot of my structure all came from just watching Gary Goldman and stuff. Yeah.
Well, shit. Yeah. We're not going to beat that. That's the perfect way to go out.
Thank you.
Will Abeles, thank you for being here. I know. Geez. For the love of God.
Yeah.
Hit on a high note. Let's get out of here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Of course.